Welcome everyone to the World Transformation Movement last Global Transformation meeting for 2021. I'm Annie Williams and this is Johnny Biggs, and we're going to be hosting the meeting today. It's just so special that you've all been able to come from all over the world. It's just fantastic, and to be on screen with us here and participating or just observing and tuning in the background to the most magnificent and meaningful way we can live now, and that we can understand the human condition. So a big, big thank you to the WTM Centre founders and the close supporters from all around the world who are here on screen with us. And it's just so great we can hold it at a time that suits our growing community in the Americans. So just a little bit of admin. Please let us know on the chat if you can't hear us or see us properly. Remember, you can switch between gallery view to see everyone on screen or speaker view if you want to zoom in on someone when they're talking. For observers, you will see a combination of gallery view and speaker view, which we control from this end. We will be playing a short video shortly, and when we do, we will mute everyone. So if you would like to speak after that, just remember to unmute yourself. And always, we'd love to hear from you, so speak up if you'd like to talk. We all just couldn't be luckier to be here and be able to access Jeremy's explanation of the human condition, which answers until now the unanswered question of why, when the universal ideals of life are to be loving and selfless, are we so competitive and selfish? It biologically establishes our goodness and equality as humans. And today we're here to talk about the absolutely thrilling and purposeful way we can live with this knowledge and help transform the world. That we can understand that we do have loving moral instincts, and we all know about a world that's true and real and loving and generous. But once we acquired a fully conscious mind, we had to turn our backs on that world in order to have the freedom from our ignorant instincts to find the knowledge of understanding our world. This created the human condition psychosis, a wasteland in ourselves and the world. But because our problem is psychological, now that we have understanding, we can return to our instinctive, loving world, armed with the understanding we set out to find. And that transformation from the necessarily selfish and egocentric life we had to live, like in the paradigm shift drawing, there's a wasteland in ourselves and the world, that we can move out of that now into the promised land, if you like. And that's what we're here to talk about today. And that's what's so astonishing about this information. I mean, people that are new to the information, of course, need to consider and absorb it and verify the truth of it. But once you've done that, it's just the most incredibly thrilling thing that we can actually move out of that wasteland and into a world that is true and real and loving again. And so this is an advanced discussion in a way, because we're talking about what you do once you've verified the truth of this information. And personally, that's what absolutely thrills me. You know, I just love that paradigm shift drawing. I live in it. It contexts me. It contexts the world, and it quickly, immediately gives me the macro story of humans, the macro defence of what's happened to us as humans and the world, and that we can sort of calmly and honestly be truthful about the wasteland in ourselves, and move out of that legitimately. It's just the most incredibly satisfying way to live, and that we can be preoccupied with humanity's welfare instead of our own it really does bring that relief and incredible unburdened existence that's possible with this information now. The great educator Sir James Darling, who was headmaster of the school Jeremy attended at Geelong Grammar School in Australia, said, "Selfishness is, as it has ever been, the ultimately destructive force in society. And there are only two cures for selfishness: the regimented state, which we all profess to dislike, and the change of heart, which we refuse to make. That is the choice, believe me, for each one of us, and we have not much time in which to make it. The need for decision to have that change of heart is serious and urgent, and the sands of time are running out. And that is what is so astonishing about this understanding. We can, again, basically become selfless. We can turn our backs on the wasteland, the mess inside ourselves and the world, and be preoccupied and live for the potential that this information brings. So honestly, this is the all-solving precious knowledge at the cutting edge of humanity's journey. And every day the WTM grows stronger and stronger, and more people are discovering Jeremy's work and this solution-based paradigm. More WTM centres are popping up all over the world, and more people are watching the interview. As you can see from the ecstatic responses on our homepage, they're just absolutely stunned. They're absolutely staggering around. Can't believe that we can actually explain ourselves and the world now. They're just phenomenally powerful. And thousands are joining our Facebook group and registering for our live events, where Jeremy will take the world by the hand and walk us out of this wasteland. And soon the numbers will be such that this transformation will be everywhere, and everyone is thinking and talking about. As Professor Harry Prosen always told Jeremy, the world needs to hear you speak. And he was so right. And to give us all a little taste of the power that's coming in these live events with Jeremy, we wanted to play the brief video from Freedom Essay 57, which is also the first key transformation video on our transformation page. So here we go. Let's go.
I want to begin this discussion about membership by restating the fabulous situation that you and all other humans are now in. Actually, I've just got to begin this by playing some of Jerry Lee Lewis's Long Tall Sally from his famous 1964 performance at the Star Club in Hamburg, Germany, which Wikipedia says many music journalists regard as one of the greatest rock and roll concerts ever. I know that such excitement and happiness may seem insensitive to all the suffering in the world, but that honestly, this joy and enthusiasm is not out of place, because the cavalry is coming. Well, that's the phrase used in the old cowboys and Indians folklore. In more contemporary Star Wars terms, the force is coming. Everything is possible now. Help is on its way to every person in every corner of the world. Love has come to the world in its absolute purest form, namely as relieving understanding. We humans are free now of the agony of the human condition. Everyone, in every situation and predicament, can now rise up as radiant new beings from their corpse-like state. A great rising up of humans will now occur across the world. Everyone is now able to come back to life, to wake up from a human condition afflicted torpor and look outwards and see each other and the world for the first time, and move across and help each other and do anything and everything that needs to be done to end the suffering and pain that's plaguing this planet. The great awakening of the human race is on. We humans have in truth all been asleep, owned by so much pain and suffering. Certainly we're going to be in shock for a little while, absorbing the realization that we have finally won our freedom from the agony of the human condition. But it's on, the great awakening, the rising up of the human race from a deep slumber. From the festering, stalled state it has been in for far too long, waiting for these liberating understandings of the human condition. The human race is finally on its way. What did Doug Lobbin say in his affirmation in section 3.4 of his presentation? I've got this image of marching straight forward with incredible purpose, straight out of a massive swamp into long green grass with flowers and butterflies and sunshine, and never ever looking back, just keeping marching forward. Everyone together, we're going to have so much fun. Yes, the door is wide open and sunshine is now streaming into our world. We can all wake up now. We can all break out of our chrysalis, our human condition afflicted straitjacket, where we've been sort of constrained, and let the wings of our true potential unfold in the sunshine for relieving understanding to reveal the fabulously beautiful creatures we really are. As I've explained in part 3.4, our species' original, natural, instinctive state is to be cooperative, loving and selfless. We have a cooperative, loving, moral soul. And this means that serving others is our original, natural, instinctive, soulful inclination. But of course, it's had to be ruthlessly oppressed by our conscious intellects because of its naive, unjust criticism of our conscious mind search for knowledge. But that horrible and tragic situation is now over, which means our original, natural, soulful, true self can re-emerge. So behaving selflessly is our natural inclination. It's a capacity that's been sitting inside us, waiting for the time when it could be liberated, which has at last arrived. I know this amazing situation will at first seem a little odd because it's been such a long time getting to this point where we could genuinely abandon the upsetting battle that the human race has been involved in and let our unconditionally loving, selfless, soulful, true selves free. So it does take a little bit of effort to let go of our habituated but now obsoleted egocentric, must prove ourselves, power, fame, fortune and glory-seeking way of living and bring the incredibly loving side of ourselves to the fore. However, it's really not that difficult a step to take because once a few people discover this amazingly free, alive, sensitive to and aware of everything for the first time in our lives, transformed life force way of living, a discovery that has already occurred in the WTM, as all the affirmations by the members in section 3 evidence, it will catch on and spread like wildfire. The Jesuit priest and scientist Teilhard de Chardin recognised, this when he said, the truth has to appear only once for it to be impossible for anything ever to prevent it from spreading universally and setting everything ablaze. So it's on. Humanity is coming home. Our real self is going to come thundering through to the forefront now, and the world will open up for everybody, and everyone will help everyone else. We can leave our old ego embattled lives behind now and metamorphose into free, empowered, life force beings. Now, this is not some dream I'm having. I haven't lost my mental marbles or something. It's 100% dinky dye, true blue, solid gold, ice, diamond, real, what I'm saying. We are free now. Listen to Jerry Lee again. I'll tell you something. When I had my furniture business, I lived near a country town where there was a large Seventh-day Adventist Christian community. Now, living for their faith rather than for themselves and selflessly supporting and helping each other and working together, it was amazing how functional and successful they were. I think they ran most of the successful businesses in the town, and I know they owned a lot of the real estate. And yet the overall situation in the valley where the town was located was like everywhere else in the world, essentially sad and lonely with the the good old boys of the town huddled together in pubs, drowning their angst with alcohol and betting on the horses to try and get a win for their embattled egos and their unhappy, obese women folk at home screaming at the kids and in the streets just dust and sparrows. Well, imagine you're in that valley, walking around in those depressed streets. We're sure there's a group of Seventh-day Adventists defying the great oppressive shadow of life under the duress of the human condition by getting together and being selfless and thus to some degree functional. But basically life for humans is still all drab and depressed. And then you look up towards the skyline and you see something absolutely amazing coming towards you. From one end of the horizon to the other, an army in its millions appears of transformed, human condition, liberated, empowered people living for each other and for the world, because their old egocentric existence has finally been obsoleted, put away forever, gone, done its job, finished with. The point is, in all the false starts to a human condition-free world, and they were false starts because the upsetting battle to find liberating understanding of the human condition still had to continue, such as in the communal functionality of the Seventh-day Adventist community I mentioned, or an example I've mentioned in section 1.12 of the functionality of Ned Flanders' Christian life compared to Homer Simpson's. We can see the rudiments, the prototype of the huge potential of the selfless, ego-eliminated, transformed life force way of living. There have been so many examples of the cooperative, amazingly functional way of living in all the false starts to a new world for humans that have been occurring sort of regularly throughout history. I mean, humanity's been chafing at the bit, obviously, to get to the new world, but it is only now that the upsetting battle to find liberating understanding of the human condition has been one that the human race as a whole leaves the old individualistic, egocentric, power, fame, fortune and glory-seeking way of living. It's only now that we're going to see the true power and all-out and all-pervading selfless communalism come into being. And again, this vision I'm describing of the liberation of the whole human race from the horror of the self-obsessed, must prove our worth, egocentric way of living is not some mad dream I'm having. It's a vision, a hope and faith that the whole of the human race has firmly held since our journey to overcome ignorance about our true worth as humans first began some 2 million years ago. As I've mentioned before, in the Bible, the prophet Joel perfectly anticipated the vision of our species' liberation from the human condition when he said, like dawn spreading across the mountains, a large and mighty army comes, such as never was of old, nor ever will be in ages to come. Before them the land is like Garden of Eden, behind them a desert waste. Nothing escapes them. They have the appearance of horses. They gallop along like cavalry, with a noise like that of chariots, like a mighty army. They all march in line, not swerving from their course. They do not jostle each other. I know the exact same vision of our species' liberation from the human condition and the emergence of amazingly sort of cooperative, loving, selfless, functional, empowered, nothing is too difficult new world. It was also given by the prophet Isaiah when he said, he lifts up a banner, in other words, the human race finds understanding. For the distant nations, he whistles for those at the ends of the earth. Here they come, swiftly and speedily. Not one of them grows tired or stumbles. Not one of them slumbers or sleeps. Not a belt is loosened at the waist, nor a sandal thong broken. Their arrows are sharp, all their bows are strung. Their horses' hooves seem like flint, their chariot wheels like a whirlwind. Their roar is like that of a lion. They roar like young lions. They growl as they seize their prey and carry it off, with no one to rescue. In that day, they will roar over it like the roaring of the sea. And the same vision appears in U2's songs. I still haven't found what I'm looking for, where Bono sang, I believe in Kingdom Come, where all the colours will bleed into one. In Where the Streets Have No Name, which says, They're beaten and blown by the wind. We're beaten and blown by the wind, trampled in dust. But I'll show you a place high on a desert plain where the streets have no name. That is, where humans no longer have to egocentrically own and name everything. Then there will be no toil or sorrow. There will be no time of pain. And when love comes to town, which includes the lines, I was a sailor, I was lost at sea, I was under the waves, but I did what I did before love, which in the form of truth, understanding, came to town. I've seen love, that is truth, conquer the great divide between good and evil. When love comes to town, I'm going to jump that train. Because, as the singer-songwriter Cat Stevens foresaw, out on the edge of darkness rides a peace train that has last arrived to take us home again. The Australian rock band Hunters and Collectors' 1993 song Holy Grail perfectly describes the vision of humanity's liberation. Woke up this morning from the strangest dream. I was in the biggest army the world had ever seen. We were marching as one on the road to the Holy Grail. Started out seeking fortune and glory. It's a short song, but a hell of a story. When you spend your lifetime trying to get your hands on the Holy Grail. Well, have you heard about the Great Crusade? We ran into millions and nobody got paid. Yeah, we raised the four corners of the globe for the Holy Grail. All the locals scattered, they were hiding in the snow. We were so far from home, so how were we to know? There'd be nothing left to plunder when we stumbled on the Holy Grail. This vision, the hope, the faith, the belief in humanity's eventual liberation from the human condition has been there within us all since time immemorial. And all the false starts to that fabulous future that have been occurring throughout history serve to reveal just how much humanity has hungered for its arrival. And they also serve to show how gloriously functional an egoless existence for humans is going to be. The Apostle St. Paul gave possibly the best sales pitch ever for Christianity when he compared Christianity, where you deferred to the embodiment of the ideals in Christ and by so doing made you feel you were good or righteous. He compared that with the previous best way of coping with the upset state of the human condition, which was Moses' 10 Commandments, where you restrained your upset out of fear of punishment. St. Paul said, "Now, if the ministry that brought death, which was engraved in letters and stone, came with glory," this is 2 Corinthians 3, glorious because those laws restrained excessive upset and by so doing brought society back from the brink of destruction. Fading though it was, there was no sustaining positive in having to discipline imposed on you. Will not the ministry of the Spirit be even more glorious? If the ministry that condemns men is glorious, how much more glorious is the ministry that brings righteousness? For what was glorious has no glory now in comparison to the surpassing glory. Well, if religion was an infinitely more glorious way of living than living out of fear of punishment, the new surpassing glory to religion, the transformed way of living, which the ending of the battle to find understanding the human condition brings, is so wonderful, so glorious, that it is completely beyond any comparison with any way of living conscious humans have ever experienced. The glory that comes to the human race now is unimaginably exciting. Well, what did Beethoven's symphony say? Joyful as a hero to victory. Join in our jubilation. We enter drunk with fire into your sanctuary. Your magic reunites. All men become brothers, all good and all bad. Be embraced millions, the kiss for the whole world. So the message is clear. Become a member of the World Transformation Movement and join in our jubilation. Don't miss out on the most exciting event in the history of the world.
Hi, everybody. What an amazing and fantastic blast that was from Jeremy about how exciting it is, the new world we've got ahead of us. I just wanted to thank Annie for her magnificent introduction. And I wanted to thank everybody around the world, all you fantastic members and supporters, from Africa, from North America, from Europe. It's just, I've been involved in this, in the WTM for 30 years now, and it's just incredibly exciting, and it's just to see all you fantastic people coming out of the woodwork from all over the world. And I just can't tell you how grateful we are to have such fabulous people supporting us. So thank you one and all. We're absolutely delighted to have you on board. Your commitment and your enthusiasm is giving this project incredible legs, and all the exciting things Jeremy's talking about in that little blast about what the new world's going to look like is all possible because of you. So thank you very, very much. I just wanted to talk a little bit about from my personal experience, about how you bring about this transformation in yourself, how you get from where you are, which is, we're all deeply sort of angry, embattled, egocentric, preoccupied, self-centered individuals, gripped with the human condition, not understanding why we're good when all the sort of empirical evidence appears to be that we're bad. How do you get from that state that we live in day to day, that deeply resigned state, to the excitement that Jeremy's talking about in that amazing little burst of video he just showed you then? How do you let that angry, egocentric side of yourself go, and let our original, natural, soulful self come through? So to do that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how I approached it, and everybody's a little bit different, but the fundamentals are all the same. They're universal. But we're all coming from our own estranged, sort of idiosyncratically damaged sort of perspective. So you've got to work through it, and it's a process. And so to start with, I just wanted to read a couple of quotes from R.D. Laing. R.D. Laing, as you know, was a Scottish psychiatrist and psychoanalyst that Jeremy refers to very, very frequently in his work. But he wrote some incredibly honest passages about the human condition and what the nature of just how embattled we are. So these are from. So I just want to read a couple of quotes. These are reproduced in Freedom Essay 48, and they're from two of R.D. Laing's books. One called Self and Others, which he published in 1961, and another from a book called The Politics of Experience and the Bird of Paradise, which published in 1967. So here we go. This is R.D. Laing. We are dead, but think we are alive. We are asleep, but think we are awake. We are dreaming, but take our dreams to be reality. We are the halt, the lame, the blind, deaf, the sick. We are doubly unconscious. We are so ill that we no longer feel ill, as in many terminal illnesses. We are mad, but have no insight. And this is another quote from The Politics of Experience. Our alienation goes to the roots. The realisation of this is the essential springboard for any serious reflection on any aspect of interpersonal life, of present into human life. We are born into a world where alienation awaits us. We are potentially men, but are in an alienated state. The ordinary person, and that's all of us, pretty much all the humans on Earth, the ordinary person is a shriveled, desiccated fragment of what a person can be. As adults, we have forgotten most of our childhood, not only its content but its flavour. As men of the world, we hardly know of the existence of the inner world. The condition of alienation, of being asleep, of being unconscious, of being out of one's mind, is the condition of the normal man or woman. Between us and it being our true self, there is a veil which is more like 50 foot of solid concrete. We're all murderers and prostitutes. We are bemused and crazed creatures, strangers to our true selves, to one another. And to that quote, I just wanted to add a very famous cartoon that a guy called Ralph Steadman, or a couple of cartoons that Ralph Steadman drew, which appear in the very famous book Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And the particular one that's on screen now is Lizard Lounge. And that's a drawing of a bunch of people in a casino in Las Vegas, which is a very, very honest description of how embattled humans are. But what sort of helps me in terms of this is that you can read. I don't know how anybody really read R.D. Laing's book prior to having Jeremy's liberating understanding of why it is we are embattled. But because if you go and look and read those quotes from R.D. Laing and sit there and think about them, or you look at Steadman's cartoons, they're incredibly confronting. And and it's very easy to think of Stedman's cartoons as, you can sort of relate to them in the sense where you say, well, I know someone from the football club, or I know someone from the pub or at work or whatever who's like that, they're very mad and egocentric. But the truth of the matter is that we're all incredibly damaged, hurt, selfish, preoccupied individuals, and we should be, because we've been struggling with this completely unreconciled battle of appearing to be bad, having to defy our soulful, instinctive self for 2 million years. So we're incredibly embattled. And that's not a bad thing. And key to being able to sort of move forward with this information is to get away from the historic. The historic reaction to all this stuff is obviously just to deny it and block it out and try and get on with your life as best you can and pretend that we're all, secure, sane, rational, well-adjusted, happy human beings, when the reality is we're not. So when you first come across this information, you can get fascinated with its accountability and how Jeremy can reconcile just the most incredibly diverse things: science and religion, men and women, blacks and whites, young and old, all these previously pretty much irreconcilable subjects you can all make sense of now that with this understanding of the human condition. But you get this, so to start with, the information's fascinating, but at a personal level there's still a very strong desire to not apply it to yourself, to think, oh, well, there's other people wandering around who are deeply in battle and angry, and I can see them, and they're really struggling and they really need to try and get this information to help themselves, But it's all of us. We're all the people in the lizard lounge, That's us. That's not a drawing. I mean, that was the 1970s when Stedman drew that, and the world is, significantly more alienated and upset now, 50 years later, than it was in 1970. So we're actually as damaged or more damaged than all those people in the lizard lounge. And now but the secret to trying to move forward with this information and to get onto the Sunshine Highway is actually to embrace the truth about humans, and importantly, embrace and support the truth about yourself, because you don't need to be ashamed of being one of the lizards in the lizard lounge. You can wrap your arms around that big lizard. I mean, that's me, So, and I know I'm very, very egocentric, insecure, angry. I live in, but I'm truly wonderful and magnificent. So you've got to flip this around in your head. You've got to actually get away from being the historic reaction of thinking, well, I can't admit that I'm angry and egocentric and upset because that'll leave me feeling like crap. And historically, it did leave you feeling like crap, because historically, until now, there hasn't been an explanation, a dignifying first principle biological explanation for why people have such self-centered and dysfunctional characteristics. But now you can actually love that part of yourself. You can love it, and you can love it in everybody, and you can understand why that's incredibly heroic and an absolutely magnificent, wonderful state. And that's the key to being able to let it go, is to face that and not be afraid of it, and to admit that, not only about everybody else, but most importantly about yourself. Otherwise, you're denying yourself effectively the magic and the relief and the wonder of this information if you carry on in your self-delusion that you're not one of these angry, upset, alienated, deeply insecure people, when we all are. We all are. That's just, but that's a fact we can all wrap our arms around. And the greater truth is, as Jeremy's explained, that that's a marvellous state. It's an incredibly heroic state, just incredibly heroic state. We have a march in Australia every year called Anzac Day for the men that died in the first and in all the wars here in Australia, which commemorates our soldiers because they gave their lives to try and to keep the world a free place. But there'll be there's an even greater recognition coming of all the humans who've ever lived, for all the sacrifices, how dead inside we've had to become in order to get the human race to where it is. So but that's the magnificence of it. So you don't need to be afraid of these scars, these wounds, these deeply divisive sort of characteristics that we've all got. You've got to learn to love them in yourself. So, because I mean, what Jeremy's talking about is just so exciting, and just so beyond the misery and unhappiness that the whole world lives in today. But in order to access that and be part of it and live with it, you've got to get away from this historic habit of just denying the truth, denying it about yourself, and let it in and let it look after you and support it. So you get to this point with this information. Once you understand that enough, you need to there's a decision you need to make, and it's a fork in the road, if you like. You've got to make a decision to let go of your habituated way of living, because, as Jeremy explains, resignation, this process that occurs to us all when we're in our early teens, where you grow up soulful and idealistic, expecting the world to be happy and together and integrated, and it's not. The world's an absolutely dreadful mess. There's dysfunctionality everywhere, and anger and egocentricity everywhere you look. It's in everybody. It's in all our families. It's in our communities. It's everywhere. So you have to then, when you get to that age in your mid-teens, you end up having to resign yourself to reality and block out all that ideality in yourself. So we're extremely habituated to living in denial of our upset self. And we sustain ourselves by deluding ourselves that we're not hurt and upset and insecure, that we're happy and well-adjusted and we're supposedly doing good things and, at a micro level, but it's all, there's an enormous amount of delusion. And it's that delusion and the alienation that Artie Lang talked about, this denial of who we are, that stops you participating in the new world. Because if you stay in denial and you keep living with the delusions, then you can't wrap your arms around the information. You can't support the truth because you're trying to block it out. So you've got to make a decision in yourself to embrace the information, to love it and support it, and commit your life to supporting the information, as opposed to where you are at the moment, which is committing your life to supporting your block out and this desperate scramble that humans have every day to try and get artificial power, fame, fortune and glory to try and compensate for the lack of understanding. So if you're habituated and addicted to that one, which we all are, and that's okay, you've got to make a decision to let that commitment to your angry, selfish, self-centered, artificial way of living go, and make a decision to support the information and live your life for that, because you can't do both at the same time. It doesn't work. And that's sort of my journey with this information. I was around this information a long time, and I don't recommend you take as long as I did. Before I realised I realised that the information made sense, and I loved it at sort of a macro level, but at a micro level I was still happy. I wasn't applying it to myself and was happy to keep, chasing my own selfish, artificial reinforcement. But at a certain point in time I thought, this is futile. I'm defeating myself, and I can't, and I'm preventing myself being able to fully participate in this project and support and love this information. So effectively at a certain point I just made a decision. I said, I'm just not going to live my life in support of my angry, upset, selfish persona, or my version of the human condition. I'm going to let that go, and that's marvellously defended and looked after by the information. And instead I'm going to dedicate myself to supporting the information both at a personal level and at a macro level, and live my life through that. And when you do that, you'll get this incredible burst of excitement, because you can see how each one of us and the whole human race can live through supporting this information, and you can tap into all the things Jeremy's talking about. You can ride on the coattails of that incredible vision, and that's the sort of vision that's in all of us that we've been looking forward to for 2 million years. It's the most astounding thing. But you need to take yourself. You need to make a commitment in yourself to change the direction you're going in, from living in this resigned, upset, selfish, self-centered way of living where you're blocking everything out. And when you look at Lizard Lounge and you think, well, that's not me, that's somebody else, that's the guy across the road, or the guy down the pub, that's not me. No, that is you. That's you, that's me, that's all of us, Deeply angry, upset, but wonderful, but marvellous. So you need to be able to to wrap your arms around that dignifying, comforting, redeeming understanding and love it. So you can live with the truth of how upset we are and say, well, that's fantastic, and then you can support the truth day in and day out, and you can be part of this world Jeremy's talking about. Because otherwise you just sort of sit there and you think, well, that's lovely. Jeremy's talking about all this idealistic stuff, but I can't connect to it. I can't really see how it's going to happen. And the reason you're stuck in this situation, and I've been there. I've been there for a very long time previously, but what's stopping you is because at a personal level you're still hanging on to, I'm not so bad, I'm not that upset, sure, I'm a little bit egocentric, selfish, preoccupied here and there, but really I'm not the lizard in Lizard Lounge. Whereas what you've got to do is you've got to say, no, I am the lizard in Lizard Lounge, or any one of those lizards, or that's me, I'm massively upset. And you have to you've got to take yourself from being fearful of that admission to saying, well, it doesn't matter, it's true, and not only is it true, it's a badge of honour. It's a magnificent thing, and I can live it and love it, and I don't have to be ashamed of it anymore. There's no shame. There's absolutely no shame in being embattled. It's a badge of honour. You get to walk down the road in the New World equivalent of the Anzac Day Parade. So that's the key. That's the key to being part of this and being part of this excitement and living for this. It's very anti-intuitive in a way because we're so habituated to blocking out negatives and to refusing to accept them and to thinking, well, I'm just going to soldier on, I'm going to keep a stiff upper lip, I'm going to deny that there's anything wrong with me, I'm not going to let any negatives in because I can't cope with any negatives, That's the redundant, that's the old way of thinking. That used to be legitimate, that was absolutely fine to do that. Everybody did it for millions of years. Good on you. But it's over. It's stopped. It's finished. It's redundant. You've got to stop denying the truth of this information. You've got to wrap your arms around it, and love it, and look after it and embrace it. It's a fantastic thing. And it's absolutely rock solid. As Jeremy said during that little video, it's just absolutely perfect, this information. It explains in first principle scientific basis every serious question you've got about human life. And it's all there, and you can verify it, and you can test it uphill and down dale. But the secret to being part of it and to really enjoying it and living your life through it is to embrace it, and embrace it at a personal level and not block it out. So I just wanted to share that little morsel with you so that in the hope that some of you guys can get there and support this information in a much quicker time frame than it took me.
Johnny, that was fantastic. God, that was stunning.
You want that picture of the sunshine?
Yeah, so the end result is you can then participate in this. You're on the Sunshine Highway, you're on the way to freedom once you support and live through this information. But until you wrap your arms around this information, until you embrace it at a personal level, you won't be on the highway. You'll be standing around scratching your head saying, how do I get from where I am to over there? But what I've tried to sort of explain in the struggle in my own life is what I think is the key for us all, which is to wrap your arms around, support the information, give up on the angry, egocentric person inside you, because that person's so hurt and embattled and self-centered. That hurt person in you can't. They're deranged. The reason that it's so difficult at a macro level to get people to understand it is because the whole world's living in such deep denial. But that sort of angry person inside you will never accept the information. So you need to understand that there's a part of you that is deranged, that doesn't think straight. That's not rational. We've all got a part of us that's actually irrational inside of us. That's why we're all resigned. We've all blocked out the truth. But that person needs to be. You need to stop listening to that part of yourself, and go through the logic, work out that, hey, yeah, I am massively embattled, but this information is true. I should be supporting it, not resisting it. And that's the key to getting on the Sunshine Highway and being one of the people in that fabulous army of millions that Jeremy's talking about. So that's all I wanted to say.
Goodness, that's fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. Would anyone like to respond to that?
I'd like to. That was remarkable, John. This is Ari. Amazing to see everyone, and so humbling just to be alive and be listening and be experiencing. This. That was a remarkable description, John. Of I don't know what I was feeling, but a remarkable description of how to move beyond just being able to see, how to move beyond just being able to hear, and how to move into a space where you can live it. So everything you said was just perfect. But the thing is, Jeremy spent his whole life, he gets up at 2 or 3 in the morning and he writes and he reads and, he makes videos and all in the ultimate act of love. So he's devoted, dedicated, sacrificed his entire life as an act of love to us over and above anything else. So what I realized was that to move on, it was just about me accepting that love, just letting his love in entirely, because that's what he's giving. That's what's on offer. I mean, at the core base, it's almost that simple. That his love is going to free me from the sickness. And yeah, I think once you let that in, once you accept that, I used to wake up and say, I know I can do more. Like this man, Jeremy's a human being. He seems like he's just the whole universe, but he's a human being and he's managed that and he's achieved that. So I can gain inspiration and drive and everything I need from that. That Jeremy's act to me is all I need to be able to move out of that state of just being able to see and hear and to live it, like to live it every day. We talk about this, I talk about this coexisting with the cave, and there is a coexistence because I interact in the cave every day. I interact with 50 people every day. And rather than be bitter about that and resentful about that and say, no, I don't want to do that, this fucking cave and these people, every one of those interactions is an opportunity for me to take Jeremy's love and to live this information in the cave with these people every day, all day, in the knowledge that I'm completely corrupted and embattled and psychotic, but I have the explanation, I have the defense, I have his love, I have everybody's support from Sydney, and I can live that every day. And once you make that decision, and I this is what John said, and I can't possibly do justice to that, but once I made that decision, it's the most remarkable thing. It literally is the most remarkable thing because it's just a switch. It's just a switch in your head that you accept the love. It's true because you've already been. I sat on it for 10 years, and just I knew it was true. It's just there was never a question about whether it was true. It's just like, well, what am I going to do with it? And that's what John covered. The opportunity, that like the meaning in this is just every minute of every day is like a full life. Like. I was completely just, there was nothing there before. So anyway, I hope that made some sense, but thanks, John.
No, you're welcome, Harry. That was a very useful addition, mate. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's really true, Harry. As you said, it's Jeremy's writings and it's the book that gives us the information, but it's always your decision to do something with it. And the information is there, and then the support from Australia and all those people around us here is there, but you have to do it. and you have to save yourself by choosing to follow this information. And it's no doubt it's true, but you make the first step. And when you make the first step, your life will change, and there's no going back. It's always going further and further, because you discover new and new wonderful insights, and a new world is appearing for you, in which love is the principal value, and all the other things are not important anymore. It's life changing from the first instance. And once you set this first step, you will experience something incredible that is, you can't describe it. That's why it's so hard to convince people to do this, because you have to do it yourself. And I think that's beautiful too, that we cannot change someone else. Everyone has to do it for his own, has to make his own step forward to choose for this new world. And I see more and more people making this step, but it's very, very beautiful that it's a personal choice you make. And I think that is a great way that things work.
Wonderful, Raf.
Yeah, so well said, and thanks, Johnny. That like really resonated, everything that you said. And I think, in the UK, sometimes what we call that is kind of the tennis game almost. I know Rosie refers to it as the tennis game, where we know it's true, and each time we play a bit of tennis, that game can get a bit shorter. And I think, if anyone said to me 3 years ago, picking up a book and engaging with the community was going to have such a profound impact on my life, I don't think I'd have ever believed it. And, listening to two words when I first started that really stick out, how humans' mental capabilities have been stifled, and how a whole new world will open up. You kind of, you read it, you listen, and you go, yeah, but really. And then experiencing that transformation within yourself and seeing that then with the world, it's illogical to go back. And I completely get what you said, and that was just amazing, Johnny. And I think this is the best Christmas present anyone could ever ask for. This community, the love that's felt within this community, which actually allows you to take some risks as well within life as you're matching more towards the truth. You couldn't do that without this support and this community. And genuinely, to meet a group of people that are so authentically committed to making a positive change on humanity. You hear people say that in the world, but this is true. This is like the real thing, and it is just so precious and beautiful to be here. Thank you.
Good on you, Leo.
Maybe I could say something about this also. I really loved what you said, Johnny. Everything was really good, and particularly that part where you said that if you don't sort of embrace and embrace and accept the upset inside yourself, and sort of accept that and decide to be honest in yourself about that, then you're gonna miss out on the benefit of being able to know that and have the defense of that, and you miss out the whole benefit of the explanation of the human condition, and that's just such an obvious point, but it's just so important, and I think it's really a key point, and I love that you said that, and it just so exciting to have that to have that possibility to embrace that upset inside ourselves and just love it, sort of, as you say, and make that decision in our life to do that, sort of. That's the other part, I think you said, sort of, that you start with that embracing, and then after that you also need to make a decision to really sort of live that way. And I just interpreted that as, you make the decision when you make the decision to support this instead of support your own sort of strategy in life, you make the decision to actually embrace your upset and stuff, sort of in a full way. And so maybe I'm just saying what you already said, but I just liked it very much, and it will be something I will to think about and to use. So thank you.
Thanks, Olaf. That was lovely.
Well, I'd like to chime in here. I really did appreciate your share there, John. Particularly when you showed that picture of Lizard Lounge, and what it just felt awesome, because what I'm getting out of all this is just an incredible relief. Just admitting, finally, after decades of pretending and putting on masks and trying to perform and trying to avoid, trying to make sure the world never saw what I was so afraid was deep inside something wrong, and trying to put that, to pretend. When you look at the Lizard Lounge and you said, yeah, okay, that's me. It's just an incredible relief. And after that, it just like the weight comes off my shoulders, and the guilt, this piling up of guilt that I've had in my whole life. And now that I understand this information, that I know it's 2 million years of guilt that's been piling up on all of us, that it's finally washes off. And so I just appreciate it, John. The relief is what it's all about. And on the other side of that admission, that accessing the bit, getting real with yourself about all this, that I am Adam Stork, but now I know why, right? So now and how I've behaved, but now I know why. And it's not because there's some deep, awful thing inside me. It's because of the human condition. And so I'm free now, standing on the solid ground of the truth. Now, even though the world seems to be crumbling around me, I mean, the world, this situation globally and in the United States, and I think everywhere, all around the world, is getting, we're hitting that terminal alienation, social disintegration. It's swirling, but we're in this community. We're standing on solid ground, and we're the hope. This truth. I love the truth. This truth is the hope, and it is the only. It's the only way out of this mess. So I just want. I wanted to share this wonderful relief that I got out of your share, John. That I think is just on the other side of that is the joy, and the peace and the calm, and the love. Frankly, it's that really just. Because that's who we really are as human beings. That's who I am as a human being. That's who every single 7.5 billion people, or how many there are on the planet, that's who they are too. There's no boogeyman. There's no bad people. We're all amazing. And when the critical mass of people get that, when a critical mass of people, and it's growing, look at all the people on the screen. When the critical mass of people get that, it's like the cavalry. It's like that golden army. So I just wanted to thank you, John, for sharing that. The relief is real, and I want it for everybody. I want it for everybody. So that's what we're here for, right? So thank you. Thanks, and thanks for a great opening, Annie. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Jerry. Good on you. That was great.
Yeah, that first
just
relief.
to jump back on the.
Oh,
To jump back on what
hello.
Gerald's, Gary, and Olaf said. We were talking about this with Olaf and Stefan a few days ago. I'll be honest. I've been upset. It took me I really refuse to admit that I was upset. I spent, since I've read this book, it really took me a while to admit, I was well, other people are upset. I know that, but I'm different. And it's because it's a very confronting thing, what you guys were saying. But what was my point? No, but it's a really like it's the relief. That's what you said, Olaf. It's like when you can finally admit it, like when you're like, because I refused to get angry, and it was like volcanic anger. What's Jeremy saying? And when you like, it's just the relief, like pouring out this upset, like to be able to like acknowledge it and like just be able to be angry for the first time in your life, because you've just built it up like a hot machine, like a vapor machine or whatever. And yeah, and it's and so yeah, I just it just feels that relief. It's a huge relief, but then I don't want to be stuck in there. And like once I start getting relief, and I start to get angry, and like I would go like walk in the woods and scream like a madman. But after a while, now I realize I can't keep up doing this. I mean, it's okay to acknowledge that I'm upset and fucked up, and that everyone is fucked up. But I mean, we all are, and yeah, so we have to move on. Like, and so now I'm thinking, okay, I have to move on. But the thing is, like, where we all live in like a psychotic, to the like so saturated with psychosis everywhere, like, and our adult life is just a huge psychosis. And so, for example, this morning I was I was watching an album, like a picture album, from childhood. My dad, he made a lot of pictures, and you just see you and your siblings when you were like a really small kid, and they were writing text, like when we were kids, like, and just even the way we write the text, like, it's just like plain facts. There's no like trying to get a win out of everything you say or write. It's just like so honest, and it's like almost prophetic, like a children text, like the most honest thing, like, and it's just a smash in the face. Like, I usually always try to avoid those kind of I never read those picture album, like family album, and just to like remember, like, this guy is me, like, seriously, like, you almost forget that it used to be you, and this is why I love. It's amazing to have like a community where we can, okay, on one side, like, accept upset, and that's relieving, and the other one, like, speak about the soul, like speak about like soundness, and create like some kind of community where like you can let like a less neurotic behavior, like flower, like be less psychotic, connect with people, with people's child inside themselves, so like that's why I try. Like, I don't know, but because we're all really upset, and for example, I spend my time, I'm doing it right now, like just projecting my upset on other people, but I'll try to do less that, and just be like in a more environment, like a friendly environment where we can all like be trusting and loving to each other. I don't know if that makes sense.
That made perfect sense.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. It's so good to have a community, because like in everyday's world, you just watch the street, and it's only like psychotic people, and it's kind of hard to. And if you sometimes I'm trying to be selfless, and people, they will take advantage of your selflessness, kind of. So you have to like create an environment where you can let selflessness like flower, and where it's safe to be selfless, and where you can really trust people, and not people like take advantage of it.
But that environment's in here. It's in here.
Yeah.
It's not outside. That's the brilliance. Like, you connected with that innocence that we once were, that pure, innocent person that you once were, that we all once were. And like you said, they have clarity, they're profound, and that's what Jeremy is. He's still a child inside, he's still alive inside, he's not upset. And so for us upset humans, yes, we can be relieved about admitting our upset, and we can be enormously relieved that we don't have to pretend anymore, like Jerry said, and play the game and get it and just pretend and hide our shame and feel so guilty and afraid inside. But that process moves forward to where you actually can stand up in the truth of that, and you feel untouchable. It doesn't matter if someone's still selfish to you, because your vision now is, if this has given me that sense of completeness, that sense of completely understanding myself and being able to accept myself and to be able to love myself, what will that do for the world? That's what drives it. It doesn't matter if someone rips you off or someone doesn't stop for you in the street or someone doesn't say hello, because we are looking to the future. We know everything in us that this information, it saved me, it can save the world. And our focus is, let's get it out there, you know. The personal relief is tremendous and just indescribable. But what's even better than that is to live, to bring this to the world, to join those antics and take the human journey to the next level of living selflessly for this beautiful, completely all-confronting information. It has to be so confronting of our upset, because we have to be honest about that. Like you've said, you can go back to that little child and be honest about what's happened to us, and we can go back to the world and be honest about what's happened to us. But our eyes are forward, and like Ari said, you know, it doesn't matter what goes on in the cave. We've got our eyes on saving humanity and bringing this home and fulfilling the human journey. So you just keep developing that, Lucas, and don't you worry about anything else
Annie,
going
but
around.
sorry, I didn't. No, but I don't mean there's no excuse. Like, there's no problem about old cave or whatever. But I'm just saying it's so good that people see like we can be like a family and like connect and have this trust that you cannot find anywhere else. You know, like. And to develop, like, to nourish that. That's what's gonna win the day at the end of the day. Like, to have this feeling that it doesn't exist anywhere else. To grow this possibility in the cave, outside the cave, like everywhere. Like Ari's saying, he was saying that even in the cave, wherever you are, you can just bring that selflessness, and that's people that don't really care about the information. It's more about that feeling of this pure like selflessness and this feeling of trust that we're all looking for. This feeling of love and trust.
We can be authentic humans again.
It's such an important point. I just wanted to absolutely agree, Annie, with what you were saying. To me, it's the most important thing. I just absolutely loved everything, your introduction, Annie, and everything you said, Johnny, about how fraudulent we are, but that can now all change, and that actually the essay that Jeremy writes or presents in the video after the one that we listened to is also about the transformed state and the magnificence of it, and how the world has been, the driving force in the world has been selfishness and greed, but at a certain point that had to come to an end, and only with understanding can that happen, and now the driving force becomes selflessness, and just the incredible power of that communal selflessness. And as Jeremy used the example in the video that we watched of Dougie, and what he said about it's such a drug that once we can be honest about how incredibly corrupted and dead inside, and we really are, like, there is a deep darkness inside us, and it's real. And it's horrifying, but yeah, it's heroic, and we can understand it now, and we can move on from it, and we can embrace this selfless way of living, and that is such a powerful drug. And we can just, the thought of fixing the shower curtain in the shower is so fulfilling and meaningful and energizing, and there is so much for us to do. There is so much to do to fix the world now. It's a really serious job that we've got, and we have to do it. And that's the absolute beauty of this little group, as Johnny said at the beginning, that we're here and that we are supporting this, and we can all get behind this now and do everything we can to make sure that this little candle, this little light, this flickering light can light up the world, because it's the only thing that can stop all of that suffering and put an end to all of that greed and selfishness and darkness and pain. And but it is a do, as Annie says, and we have to get in there and support it. And that is the most important thing, that we can do that now, and we can love doing it. And there are so many ways to contribute to doing that, little ways and big ways, and wherever we're coming from and in our different journeys and experiences with the human condition, we can all in our way contribute to that. And it's just, every single one of those ways is so beautiful, no matter how small it is. So anyway, and I just also, as Ari said, Jeremy's example of love is so precious to all of us. But as he says, what love really is, it's this, he says it in that video, that love has come to the world in the absolute purest form, namely as relieving understanding, and that's what we're living for now. That's all I want to say. I'm just so pleased to be here with you all, and that we can get on with this job now of fixing the world in a true way.
Beautiful. I think what everybody said is embraces everything about how you feel after you come to this understanding. And the great thing about how Jeremy presents it is the first thing you do is forgive yourself and love yourself. And with that understanding and that strength and fortitude, it's so easy to forgive and love everybody else. You don't react to things anymore. It's a very calming, understanding type of absorption of what's going on. And you can see that he pulled all the pieces of the puzzle together. And if someone looks at you and you look strange to them, you're not the right color, you're not the right shape, you're not the right anything, you can think to yourself, well, that's because you're only looking at one piece of a really big puzzle. And when you put that piece into the puzzle, then the picture gets bigger and broader, and it's easier to visualize. So that's the beautiful thing about this whole WTM system, just getting bigger and big. It's all the pieces of the puzzle coming together and being able to embrace what he has given us as a gift and share it.
Beautiful, Veronica.
And that's all I have to say. I said I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to listen, but I had to
I'm
say.
pleased you did. Please do, everybody.
It's so good to hear you, Ronnie. And I absolutely agree. Jeremy has, that's what, there's this deep significance of this, is that the whole puzzle is presented now. Everything is here, all explained. And finally, we do have the answer to be able to move on. This, as Jeremy says in that beautiful, I think it's probably my favourite video on our website, that video, that there's been so many false starts, and everybody, just nothing could bring an end to the upset, to my pain, to my upset, to my destruction on this planet, unless it was understanding of myself. And now understanding of the human condition is here. We can move on. And it's and the way we do that is just been so beautifully talked about, Johnny and Annie, and we absolutely loved all your presentations. And we really, and I just wanted to read, when I read, I just looked at this on my wall, and I just love this. Is from an old newsletter, and when the WTM was called the Foundation for Humanity's Adulthood. It's newsletter 22, and it's got this amazing, well, the whole thing's amazing, but this paragraph where it says, and this really, I think, connects to what Johnny was saying, that in our alienated state, we don't realise how simple and obvious the truth is, that the world is completely false, and that one day that falseness is going to be exposed is obvious to an unresigned mind. Alienation, evasive minds don't acknowledge that humans are false, so for them there is nothing to be liberated from. Prophets, people with unresigned minds, will all look forward to the day of liberation from falseness, and we know exactly what it will be like. One day the false world will be exposed, and people will abandon it in droves, and the imagery that effectively describes that is happening is obvious. And then, as Jeremy we've already heard, he goes on here to talk about Joel and Isaiah, but it's just such the key in my journey too, that I can accept that falseness, that fraudulence, that deep emptiness and superficiality that I had to take on. But, you know, that's all explained. I am completely and utterly loved. And again, I just wanted that to bring Ari's point in too, like Jeremy says in Freedom, you know, the denial-free thinkers or prophets, their honesty is the purest form of love the human race has ever known. And we have the ultimate with understanding of the human condition that Jeremy's brought to us, brought to humanity. And we can abandon this whole false world now in droves. And we're the start of that. It's just absolutely magnificent. We can tell the world that it's safe to live with the truth. You know, it's never been safe to live with the truth. We couldn't live with R.D. Laing's honesty before. It wasn't, but we can now. You know, we can completely embrace it, and we can completely move on from it. And we can, you know, like Jeremy says in that beautiful video, that the floodgates are open. You know, we can actually exit, we can move on, we can go, we can leave, we can build this new world. And we're doing that all together, every single one of us on screen. And that is the key, though, as Johnny really just beautifully articulated, that we can embrace ourselves, we can embrace our dark side, we can understand that and bring love to it, and it is obsoleted now. We can move on, so we are free, and it's just the most magnificent time in history. That deep fulfillment of all the pain that's we really can bring an end to all that pain that's in our own lives and in every human's life on the planet. So what a time to be together to celebrate our year and bring it forward into 2022.
I love that.
That was good.
I just want to say,
I'd like to contribute. I'm sorry.
No, go, Pam.
You're right, Pam. Go for it.
Oh, okay. I've been just biting at the bit to when we watched Jeremy's video, him explaining everything, his face is so serious, and then he gets to the point where he speaks about build from one end of the horizon to the other. You can see the sweetest change in his facial expression, how he smiles just a little bit. And I had so much more to say, and now I'm going to cry. No, I'm going to say it. So if I'm going to be this terrible, messed up individual, if I learn these skills, these strategies to get me here, I might as well use them to spread the information. So I'm constantly wearing this shirt. I'm going to need to get another one. Anytime I I'm going to a mall, I make sure I wear it. It's my grocery store shirt. Today even, I'm walking in the mall and this lady's behind me and I'm thinking, is she reading humancondition.com? Can she see him? Is my hair in the way? Maybe I should check to see if I'm going to be a strategist, I might as well do it for the humancondition.com. I might as well cut my hair right where the words are. I need to check. Yeah, so if we're going to be fucked up individuals, we might as well do it right and for the right reasons, because we've got an army to build. Because that smile in that video is so precious.
Yeah, well, Jeremy's got such a big job, so he you know, and such an incredible responsibility. But so it is a very serious job, and but when Jeremy smiles, you see how alive he is, and it was amazing in that video when he was dancing and singing, and you can see a soul still alive. So good on you, Pam. And Desi, how can you still got that? What you'd like to say?
Yeah, I was just trying to say hi, everybody. I was just going to say that I love the fact that because of Jeremy's information, now I can look at that lizard picture and I can see myself in that lizard picture, and it's okay. Before the information, no way would I say that I was upset, or my denials were huge and massive. I thought I was just perfect, but I would point the finger at everyone else's imperfections. That was so easy. But how beautiful that we can now see the upset. Well, I could see the upset in myself. And the most important thing is, if I can't see the upset in myself, I can't change anything. And now all my crazy behaviors, every day, I'm just getting better and better at seeing it. And now I can live for this information, making changes within myself. Because the funny thing is, when I first started to understand the information, I thought, this is wonderful, I'm going to tell everyone else, because everyone else needs to fix themselves. I wasn't even looking at myself, which is just crazy. And that's typical me. But yeah, the most important thing is I can see my craziness, I can start changing it, living it, and support this. And that's all I wanted to say, that we're very, oh, I'm going to cry, we're very lucky to be alive in this time. Sorry. It's very special that we're alive, that we can actually hear this information. And yeah, it's crazy. I just think it's crazy how Jeremy has to make 5,000 videos and all these books, and it's just the Adam Stork story, but I was so damn deaf I couldn't hear the Adam Stork story for 10 years.
God love you, Desi.
It's just a simple story, instinct with the intellect. It's not that hard, but my brain was in massive denial. It's crazy, I can laugh now. Thank God, you know, my brother-in-law got this information, brought it to our family, Sam Akratides. Sorry, now I'm crying. And then through my kids, I was able to, that was my little push to just, my kids got on board, which is the opposite of what normally happens. It's normally the parents teaching the kids, but the kids got on board. Thank God for that. And I just feel so lucky that we can now hear this information and change my life for the better. Massive, massive. I was in this massive delusion bubble, thinking that I was all good, getting my wins, my stupid bullshit wins, validating myself with all the artificial things in life. And now how lucky we are that we can just see how we could just see that we can just live a more genuine, authentic self. You know, we're so I am so thankful to Jeremy to be alive, that he's given his life to this. So sorry, I wish I could talk without crying, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Jeremy, thank you to everybody that's on this chat, especially this 50 founding members. That's it. I don't think I can say anymore. Just yeah.
Desi, that was just brilliant. I love that. And I think there's absolutely no shame whatsoever in crying, because when you're talking about the truth, you do cry because it's the truth. And holy shit, we're actually talking about the truth. We're not all bullshitting. And Bigsy, I just love, I bloody love listening to you talk about your journey because, like, you're just such a strong, resigned male. And I just think that it's such an amazing, we're all fucked up, but like men like, at the Lizard Lounge, Hunter S. Thompson, he's completely out the gate, completely, living out that resigned, competitive men's world, which I think is so fucking heroic. You blokes doing that, like Ari and Bigsy, I just love hearing your side of it because the fact that you can now I'm gonna cry just because it's true. But the fact that, incredibly resigned, fucked up blokes who have had to do that, have had to go on that journey. It's just so special that you fellas can find yourselves again. That does it for me. Like, that's truth enough for me that it works. So yeah, bloody good.
Thank you, Molly. That's very good, nice of you to put it that way.
Oh, it's so true, Molly. So true. Women can actually, at last, appreciate men for the monsters they had to become, and that these men can be honest about that and stand up and go the next round. It is so completely inspiring for us women, and loved what you said, Molly. And for everyone listening from overseas, Australians do tend to swear a little bit, so please excuse us, but it is a measure of the relief that, like Molly said, we can talk about the truth, and that's where that swearing comes from. It comes from relief. It comes from, as Jeremy explains in the swearing and humour essay, we've had to live in denial with so much bullshit, and at last we don't have to. So that's the source of that swearing. So, but I know some people find it a little bit shocking, and it is very much an Australian culture. So please forgive us, but it is an expression of relief and honesty, rather than obscenity. So I just wanted to add that little bit. And you girls cry away, Pam and Desi, and like Molly said, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Got anyone else that would like to speak?
Pam's talking.
Pammy, I don't think you've got to unmute yourself.
So we've probably terrified everyone. We've probably terrified everyone crying. But
not at all.
I just need everyone to know that I cry every time I speak. So it's just that the feelings are, right here on the surface. And when you begin to see how well everything works, how the information works, it's such a relief that, one, it's an unbelievable relief, and it's just it's an emotional roller coaster, yes, but so we can't help but cry because it's joyous, not actually a burdensome cry. It's a cry of joy, because who knew this was 2 years ago? I would never have guessed in a million years that I could feel so free in my heart and mind. I was so angry and upset all the time. Just to have to get up and get ready to go to work just pissed me off. You get to work and you're like, what's going to happen today? What have I got to deal with today? And then issues start pouring in, and you just think, God, everybody's just, why can't they just do this? And you know, just that day-to-day grind was just horrific. And by the end of the day, you get in your car and you got traffic, and then you're just so fed up with everything. Compile that, your life, 2 million years, and somebody honks the horn and you're ready to get out of the car and act like a crazy person. And then you read a book and it describes why you behave that way, and explains how you got there and how everyone else is just like you, and we're all equally as corrupted, and then bam, it disappears. The day doesn't seem so bad after all. You're happy to get up, happy to go to work, happy to receive a phone call. Something goes wrong in your day, it doesn't upset you as bad. Sometimes it may, but not nearly as bad as it did in the beginning.
Yeah, we're all so lucky, aren't we?
Gratitude, we're beyond measure. So the tears are just because the relief is just so magnificent. I mean, gosh, yes, we're going to cry. It's like a long lost friend you haven't seen in a long time is here. Yeah, you're going to cry. That person is you, and you've been missing him your whole life, and here she is. Okay, I'm done.
Lovely, Pam.
Yeah, to realize that we are the lucky ones who realize it. Lots of people don't realize this truth and don't know about this. And I imagine when we go a few generations further and people tell about this time that is happening now, the children won't believe it. It's so different from what is possible in the world, what is happening now. This new world will be totally different. And if you tell children about the dark ages of the years 2000 and 2010, they will not believe it. They will think it's fantasy because it's so different from what is possible. So the future is so brightly, and I'm so glad that I live this life in this period of history and being part of this huge transformation that is happening in the world. And that's why I want to contribute as much as possible to make this possible. This is so important for mankind, and each one of us on the screen here has a huge responsibility to do whatever he can. And you, Pam, you wear your shirt and we talk about it and we spread it in the word, and that's what we have to do. If you don't do it, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So it's very important to keep on spreading the word, because the change will come, and you feel it every day that things are changing. And the worse the world gets, the more need I have from this insight. So the disaster and what is happening in the world is very terrible, but this has to happen to give people the power to change. And we are the lucky ones who can talk about this change. When the system falls down, we are there to support them and to tell them there's a new plan, a new idea, and love is the key. This is so wonderful to experience this and to be part of this. So great ideas.
Great, Rav.
Oh, Annie, just a couple. I just wanted to say how unbelievably good it is to see everyone, and just a couple of things that that you talked about and Weeby talked about, which I absolutely love, in terms of there's obviously the personal relief and excitement that you get when you become transformed, and that is absolutely, like you said, almost indescribable. But I just totally agree with what you're saying earlier. In what's even better after that is, this, and as Weeby said, and I absolutely love what Weeby said. I mean, of course I love what Weeby said, but in terms of there's so much to do. There's so much to get to participate in, to contribute to get involved, and that means that what this actually delivers to you personally and to the planet is a meaningful life. We now get to disseminate and develop and spread this unbelievably world-saving information. And for just a busted unit like me to be able to be here and contribute and be a part of that is indescribably precious. And so, for me, there's that, yes, yes, of course, there's the relief and there's the, you know, the bone drenching sort of just relief that comes with the honesty and the stuff that Johnny talked about and the acceptance of that and, you know, the sympathy for the devil and all of that. And that is unbelievably good. But what I just love is I get to do stuff. I get to participate. I get to live my life. I get to just, in the most meaningful, unbelievably precious project that the world, that humanity has ever seen. In fact, it's the culmination of human conscious thought and inquiry, and that's what we're carrying out. And it's just so significant that you know it's sort of difficult to talk about. And I just also wanted to read out something Tony Gowing wrote as far as the World Transformation Council, some of this stuff, because you know as we talk a lot about tones, as far as really living with this and moving beyond that transformed state into just where it's not even, the whole concept of your upset and that interface is just vanishes. And you just, like Dougie said, you get further out into the green grass. And Tone writes in the World Transformation Movement Council document, he says, no more are there grey areas in our lives. There is cooperative, loving, helpful, open, happy, strong, centred, secure, generous behaviour. And then there is divisive, selfish, needy, insecure, unhappy behaviour. In our resigned states, we live 100% selfishly. That is our starting point. But now there is no excuse for it. It just perpetuates unhappiness and hurt for yourself and the world. And you have to know that if you don't want to give up that selfish behaviour today, you are holding back the tide of peace and love from sweeping the world. And you are holding on to the remnants of the old world unhappiness and selfishness inside yourself and projecting it on the world. There is really nothing positive about it. We have to become masters at giving ourselves to the new world. And the more we do that, the more it grows and the better everything is. And then he just quickly, I just want to read also just the next paragraph. He says, what I have been describing is obviously the ultimate transformed state, because you have to progress through many steps of understanding the information and seeing all the upset in yourself and finding relief from having the human condition at last understood and solved, etc., before you get to this ultimate state. But the point I am making is that it won't be long before everyone will move on from any talk at all about the upset in themselves, in others in the world. And then Jeremy talks about this important point of getting the truth up and then moving on in paragraph 1190 of Freedom. There won't be any need to talk about it or dwell on it because living selfishly is so meaningless now. It is just so obsolete when looked at from the new unconditionally loving, everyone is equally good and worthy, cooperative, soul resuscitating world. We really won't have any interest at all in the old, bewildered and insecure, resigned, upset world once our long repressed inner true self or soul starts to come back to life and latches onto all the selfless magnificence of the new world. So I just want to read that out too, because that's just, I mean, and I'm talking to myself here, that's just unbelievably helpful sort of counsel and just context for what's, you know, the realness of what's happening. This is really happening. It's really going on. And just how incredibly precious it is. And one last thing was just echo what Johnny was saying at the start about, you know, it's you know, this momentum that's building, and it's obviously in huge part to everyone and all the centres, all the people on the screen that's happening. And so it's just, yeah, it's just unbelievably special. So thanks.
Good on you, Con.
Very important additions, Con.
Yeah, Annie and Johnny, can you hear me?
James, yes.
Sure can.
Great. That really sunk home, Annie. And don't worry, us South Africans can match you Australians when it comes to swearing. But I won't do it here. But yeah, Johnny, what you were saying about us males, it's really taken me a while to get my head around the fact how it's really fucked up I am. And a lot of the affirmations from the men who've been with the information for so long has really helped me to get to the core of my absolute, that's madness. You know, we and for a long time having to seeing that and not understanding it is what was killing me. And at last finding this information, it was for farmers, Jeremy talks about the rain on the desert. I mean, that is, it's not even that, it's beyond that. It's so extraordinary. But, once I've understood that, that every moment now for me is, even while I'm sitting here watching everybody, I'm thinking, how can I contribute? Well, I've got to just listen to what everybody's saying, where they're coming from, because that helps the project while I sit here, and I've got to really think hard about that. And Jeremy recently sent a note out saying, what it is we're on the edge. We've got a lot of work to do, and trying to become transformed or trying to get onto the highway, the way to go. I mean, that's treading water. What we got to do is, as you guys are saying, Connor, we've got to just work at this 24/7. As Jeremy keeps saying, there isn't enough time left, guys. Yet what I take great solace in, which is flipping amazing, is that he always, as I mentioned a WTM meeting a while ago, he talks in the past tense. It's like, I mean, that for me is just such a inspiration that he's always saying, the game is won, guys. Sure. And you just have to look at integrative meaning and that incredible picture of what got us and where we are now at the pinnacle as a species. We just have to, I can just focus on it. I mean, I've got to the state now where we stop for a cup of coffee and I say to Vanessa, sorry, can't afford that. We have to do something else. But yeah, Desi and Pam, you guys shedding tears. You had me crying like a little baby here, and thank you so much. And really good to see everybody. Let's go. Jesus, we've got to get out of here. Come on. There's so much suffering. Let's I can end the suffering now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James. It was lovely, mate.
That was brilliant, James. Absolutely brilliant. I'm just going to chime in one more time, John, because you nailed it, James. It's basically, it's as simple as that. You take the focus off yourself. Jeremy's here, the WTM is here. For me, it's as simple as soon as I open up my eyes in the morning, the first thought is, what can I do for the WTM today? That's it. And the equivalent translation of that is, what can I do for humanity today? And the answer is everything. The answer is, I can and I must do everything. And that's that.
Great, Ari.
Perfectly said, Ari. Anyone else want to chip in?
I just have to quickly chime in, because there's so much good stuff that's been said already. But oh my God, this has just been the best meeting. And the fact that you framed up around the Lizard Lounge picture, John and Annie, oh my God, I love that picture. And that really says it all from my life. I like that, just hits me right in the face every time I look at it, because that is me. Like that was me before this book, and that's me now, still just with knowing. But sitting back waiting for your life to end, in a nutshell. And it's just Artie Lang is the other that I just have to mention, because his words about us being, we're thinking we're alive but we're dead. That really is so confronting, but it is so where we are at. And I think that's what's helped me really move forward with this process of transformation, because I was really deluding myself that it was just a step. I had to keep stepping forward with the information, stay connected with the information, and keep moving forward. But in actual fact, I found I had to go back. I had to step back and really, really bottom down on how dead I was inside, because the anger side of it, I'm not underneath, I'm obviously boiling, but I was never an angry person. I always thought I was, like Des mentioned, you know, I had my shit together, you know, I was well behaved, and I didn't have, my life was tracking along pretty good, you know, and I love when Des talks about that, because it's just me, you know, and you have your beautiful house all set up and everything, life's sweet, you need kids going to good schools, all that sort of shit that you think it's important. And I was always sort of externalizing the process and saying, okay, well, you know, I get that. I haven't got that far to move then, you know, I'll get this. But drilling down and going back a step and actually looking at that Lizard Lounge photo, looking at the all the illustrations that Jeremy has that describes our cave-like dead existence, you know, that was where I had to bottom out on and realise this is a 2 million year journey in. Of course I'm dead inside. Of course, as Annie says so beautifully, like everyone's articulated this already, and I know I'm just going over old ground, but it explains the transformation for me in my head, because of course we're going to transform out of this when we understand why. We've been dead. We've literally been like rotten flesh, you know, we're that busted ass and broken, and then we've got an understanding as to why. Well, you know, you're just not going to want to stay there. You're not going to want to stay in that space. You're going to want to move out of that and into just a whole nother world, and that's what's on offer, and that's where I'm going. And that's where I'm going to take as many people with me as I can. And you know, I was watching that American movie Independence Day the other day, and you know that speech that the president gives in that, and I'm listening to that, and then I'm thinking, no, you know, the important part in that movie is when you got all these ships that are killing everybody off, which is our alienation that's out there killing us, you know, and they work out how to take those ships down, and one of the soldiers says to them, get it out there, tell the world, tell everybody how to do this, because we can kill these things, we can knock this human condition on its ass. And that's what I look at now with you, Ari, and I just go every day, get up, just knock this thing on its ass, because we've got to, it's the only way out, and that's it. It's the purpose that, what better purpose can you have? That's sorry, and that's it. I'm not saying anymore, but it's just, I just love it, and I can't wait to just have everybody, this screen just chock-a-block, and yeah, we're getting there.
Certainly are.
Colleen, you just put the biggest smile on my face. Biggest smile on my face. I can't stop laughing. When you connect to how real this is, it's literally like crazy. Anyway, that we've got the answers. Like sometimes just connecting to how real it is that we actually are on the right path. We're on the only right path that's leading humanity out, and we can access that. We're on the journey. Like that's crazy to think about that anyway. Talking about just that honesty of laying and just really recognizing our alienation goes to the roots and how dead we are. It's such a relief, because we're always parading and having our masks on with all the facades and everything, just pretending we're okay, and actually being able to acknowledge that no, we're not. Like, we are not okay. We're actually dead, and all that pretending that we're soulful and selfless and everything is just rubbish. And that's where the relief comes from, and just knowing that you actually can't access, we can access like 0% of our soul without the information, and that the only way forwards to actually living out our child self and really being the most genuine and authentic person we can be is through the information, and breaking down those 50 walls of solid concrete, and just breaking down those denials and really accessing the truth. And that everybody, all pseudo-idealism and everything, just pretending. And I know I was very pseudo-idealistic and living that and thinking like I'm fine, and just I have a soul, especially being young as well. Like obviously I have a bit more deeper connection to it than fully resigned adults, but just knowing that the only way we're actually going to revive that part of us and that true part of ourselves is living for the information and just developing our journey on that. And that's just such a big part because everyone, yeah, we're all living such a fake life and everything, and we are really dead. And this is the only way we can become alive. And that's just how lucky we are that we're on this journey. But yeah, you just put the biggest smile on my face. I was laughing my head off. You're like, we're going to bring everybody with me. And that is like the millions of people on the Sunshine Highway and that army that we're building. We're all the forces for that. And yeah, how good is that we're on that path to change? Yeah.
Beautiful, Nicoletta. How are we going out there? Anybody else? What about anyone from Sydney? Tony Gowing, Tony Mile?
I'm lucky he's here, so way you go.
Well, I don't really have, I mean, it's just been so awesome to hear everyone talk. And that was, I mean, I just love hearing Biggsy talk. It's after Jeremy, it's my favourite person to hear because it just, that honesty, he lives it. And I can't even remember who says it, but I knew Biggsy before he was transformed. And I know, I mean, just knowing the difference between a person who is, he's always larger than life, and but it is so, like, he talks about being a terrorist and bomb throwing, and that's what humans are like. That's what I, as a resigned human, am like. The lizard lounge is just, it is so perfect, but being able to see the change from someone who is just totally and utterly and completely obsessed and focused and preoccupied and just on themselves, and just all those words that Jeremy says every time he introduces the human condition, arrogant, deluded, egocentric, alienated. That is us. And you can just watch it in people, how all of that just dissipates with this information. And I mean, I know for me, because like I really am, I had to live. I was just so messed up. I wasn't functional. I wasn't Colleen. I was, I was so hurt. I just destroyed everything. And that's, you can see it throughout my life. Everything went wrong. And this has transformed it. I get to be around truly, like in Jeremy, a truly, truly, truly functional human. And that is the most confronting thing I can possibly think, because you're constantly around someone who is genuinely functional and it genuinely loves, everything. But I remember the key thing that I learned, and it was quite early on once I became transformed, is understanding, look, what Jeremy's doing is he's putting this information first. And see, I'm not selfless. I don't know how to be selfless because I'm so messed up, right? When I go back and I think about it and I can connect with it and I can see integrative meaning and all that sort of stuff, but really I'm just selfish to the core. But what this gives us, and it's the best thing, there's a project here that has to go out to the world, and it's just giving to that. And it's not just saying that I'm going to be selfless. It is, I stop everything. I don't want to drink. I used to drink and smoke and play footy. I just don't want to do any of those things. Not one of them. Every single day I'm trying to stop every single thing that is perpetuating, because that's what we're doing. Every single one of us, we are so messed up. We can say all the honesty things and we're messed up, but I promise you, it's until that's the selflessness in this is leaving everything, because everything is the old world, and living for this 100%, every single breath, and not just saying it, actually doing it. And it's the doing it I just promise you, it's the doing it that brings you joy beyond imaginability. And that's the selflessness that everybody's looking for. And that's why we can be selfless. Not because I'm a nice person or I understand people or I'm empathetic or all these lovely things. I'm living for that to exist on earth. And I'm living that I know that's coming. And I can be a little bit more empathetic and I can see and understand the human condition in people. But my selflessness, if I have any, is just that I don't give a flying fuck about anything else. But this information that every single person is going to get it. And that's, I know that Jeremy, in that sense, he doesn't give a stuff about me. I am meaningless. He's meaningless. He's just about killing himself because he doesn't care about it so much. He just wants this to save the world. It's the only thing. And that's what you learn, right? That's what Biggsy's saying. You can't progress into being selfless until you know that you are 100% selfish. You are right now, I promise all of you on this screen, 100% preoccupied with yourselves. And the joy that we're all coming to is letting it fall off. And see, no one's going to join our army, like everyone keeps saying, until we do it. The more we do it, the more it will stand out. Pure and unadulterated selflessness and joy is how you feel when you give yourself to this. And it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, you see people like when they're genuinely doing it, they're just totally not focused on anything else. And that's been the joy of Jeremy. You watch him, he's honestly, there is not one other thought in his mind other than this information. Every single person has to understand that there's just this, complete mess up in our heads, and everybody's got to understand it. Every single problem starts from the human condition. And stop everything else. And everyone will see that. Everyone will look on and just go, and they're going to think you're crazy. But that's our job. That's what every human on earth, and to start with, it seems like it's a hard work, or it seems like it can be, from the old world position, oh, gee, but in actual fact, that's the freedom. The freedom is letting all of that weight go. That's the weight, all the stuff that you're hanging on to, all the craziness, all the lizard lounge. That's the weight. And it falls off you. You see the fields and the butterflies and the sun coming up in the morning is like everyone knows, is being part of it and knowing that you're part of it and actually, doing it, carrying it out. It's just a joy beyond joy, carrying it out. And I know that saying this sort of stuff, it sort of amps it up and makes it, or it can put pressure on. It's not about pressuring it. It's just about, like, everyone, or as far as I can see, everyone just wants, what do I do? How do I help? I promise you, it's seeing that and changing your life for that. That's how you do it, because every time you move it, that army that Jeremy's talking about coming over the valley into, that army grows when you're standing in line. And until people are standing in line, people aren't standing in line, and and that's what you're doing in yourself. The more you can speak about this and say this and know that's how this works. Like, it just is totally and utterly meaningless how anybody treats you on earth. It whether someone else is selfish or not, it just is totally and utterly irrelevant. It's just whether you are concentrating on saving the planet, and the only thing that can save the planet is giving this to it. And it is just so joyful being 100% occupied with that. And that's how, I'm looking forward to children, not being like me, not having to live with all that stuff, like, you know, that is why you don't, like Pam was saying, you know, the relief that you feel from being able to put all that stuff down, that is one thing, right? I just want that for every child on earth. I want it so bad that nobody else has to feel what I feel in every cell of my body every day. But I just tell you, I know our job is not that's coming. Our job is just to spend every second of every day doing it. And it's difficult to start with, but the rewards are, well, like everybody's saying, and everybody knows they're worth it, but it is actually the doing that gives you the rewards and gives the world the rewards. You know, anyway, sorry, that's a fucking rant like crazy, but I love hearing everyone speak. It's so good when everyone gets together. So exciting what's coming. So
sorry, that's just
spectacular.
That's just what this is. If you want what this is all about, that's it. Like, it's just, anyway, that's it. There's just so much, you know, like Tony, I can't say it like that, but there's so much pain. There's just so much pain inside, and it's just, it just kills us, you know, and it kills every single human. And to have that vision of children not having to suffer like that is about, you know, is the most magnificent thing in the world you could ever live for. Like, it's just as simple as that. It's just so fucked what happens to them and us, you know. You know, it's just magic time. And if you want to see what people are going to be like, you just look at Jeremy, you know, like he has got, you know, we talk about our sort of, you know, we can have soul, but we've got nothing at all. You just watch Jeremy and it's just like it's in a different universe. It's not like it's a different planet where that completely uncorrupted soul lives, and that's what humans will be like. But like Tone said, we can't be like that, but we can get in behind that vision and support it, and that in itself is the most incredible gift that anyone's had for 2 million years. So anyway.
Yeah, I agree, Tony. Tony Gowan's just the gold standard for resigned humans in living a transformed life, and you can't add to that. But it absolutely is what Tony says. It's a do. It's not sitting there procrastinating and thinking about and agonising about where you're at. It's just getting on with it and doing it and supporting the information that sets the example, and it's what people want. And the sooner and the stronger we do, and the more we do that, the sooner this will just explode. So I just love what Tony said. It's just incredible. Anyway.
Well, that's the perfect way to wrap up the meeting, and yeah, that was just spectacular, Tony Gowing. I hope everyone, unless there is something you're really sitting on, we'll wrap the meeting up.
Did Reggie just put his hand up?
And
yeah, Reggie.
Reggie?
He put his hand up.
We're just going to unmute you, Reggie.
You're on mute, Reggie.
Top left. We're getting there.
Reggie, you got to unmute, Reg.
Okay, you got me now, eh?
Got you now, Reggie.
Okay, yeah. I just want to express my appreciation and gratitude to WTM and to Jeremy because of this information that is come forth for everybody to have access to, and so as to be able to move forward in a positive trajectory. I I don't have much to say, except to say that initially, this to me is maybe a selfish act in that I wouldn't want to see my children, my friends, and all the people I love going through all the pains of the past. I wouldn't like to see that happening. And this is something that to me has always been something to strive for. I'm talking about freedom of people, of individually. I'm talking about the real freedom of people, as persons, inside, emotionally. Because I have in my experience seen value in that. When people are free, totally free from inside out, then they can offer the world everything. We can really experience their magnificence, because until we get there, until we get to be totally free, we don't really express that freedom, because it's a matter of putting on a mask and making sure that you maybe don't offend certain people or something like that. But when you are free, emotionally free from inside out, then we get to really experience you as an individual, as a person, as a part of the whole. So I'm really very grateful for this. To me, this has always been coming. It is something that has always been on the pipeline. And I couldn't maybe explain it at some point, but somehow I've always known that this is where we were headed as human beings. So I'm very grateful that now there is action on the ground. We're doing something about it, moving towards that. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, WTM. And in Jeremy's words, let's go. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay.
Good on you, Reggie.
That's it.
Well, it was absolutely spectacular. And thank you all so very, very much for coming along and participating and tuning in the background. And for those that are watching that are newer, our website has everything you need to pursue your interest and explore all this incredible understanding. All our publications are freely available, including the interview, and you can see all the ecstatic responses. People are just going nuts about it. I mean, there's a social media post just yesterday about Jeremy's work, saying, well, this guy, Jeremy Griffith, I've been grappling with his mind-blowing book, Freedom, The End of the Human Condition, the book that saves the world. And I have to say, I have not seen, heard, nor read a more compelling argument for altering the dystopian path that it feels humanity is on. With so much mistrust, division, cruelty, conflict, famine, inequality, who would think anything else? So why not feed yourself a new diet of thought food and consider looking at humanity through a refreshed perspective? Wipe your fogged lenses with a clean cloth and reinstall your faith in humanity. And he actually links to the last live event. So these live events haven't started yet, in the sense that when Jeremy's able to talk to the world and bring them home, it is just going to be so incredibly special and precious. So everyone new, register for the live events, and we thought we might get Jerry Lee Lewis to take us home. And so thank you all for being up all over the world at all different hours, and lots and lots of love until next time.
Thank you.
Well, Marcel ain't married, back in town. Said he had a midget, but he had a lot of fun.